Welcome back to Distorted Opinions. I'm Kayla. Always, I'm with Matt and Ted.
Always.
Did I say always? Yeah.
Always.
All right. Let's
We're
restart
always
that.
here. Come on.
As always, I'm with Matt and Ted. And you guys may have noticed the last show, we're kind of changing up the format a little bit. We're trying to make this more conversational based on some feedback we got. So we're going to continue with that trend. And today we've decided to discuss a topic that, again, I think is going to be kind of a hot button topic for different people. Different people are going to have different take on this. And that's the whole point of this show. It is our opinions, our distorted opinions. So today we're going to discuss when an artist does something bad, terrible, illegal, or just frowned upon by society, can you separate the art from the artist? And I know, like, I had a lot of artists kind of come to mind when we discussed doing this as a topic. I'm sure you guys did too. And then I found even more that I was like, wow, okay. Either people just didn't know about this or they just don't care and they supported them anyway. So let's get right into it, because I think we're going to have a lot to unpack in this episode.
So the one thing that comes to mind, okay. Yeah. It's good. This is going to be a very interesting topic, and I'm really curious to see how all of our opinions are, as well as, you know, you listeners, what your opinions are as well. And before we jump into it, you know, we did have some feedback that came back and said, hey, you know, really appreciate, you know, the opinion side of how the show is going. So definitely like the direction that we're going with and whatnot. So thank you for those that are listening and reaching out to us.
And besides, there's only so many countdowns we can possibly do. To be fair.
Right.
But the ultimate question is going to be, and it's kind of it's a question that's really, it can be taken in two different directions. Supporting the artist from the art. Okay. So now you have opinions. Okay. You may have those that may not support artists, maybe because of drug use. Okay. Hey, you never know. But then you have those that do really bad things, and it's really hard to decipher if you could continue on supporting that artist or band because of those actions. So it's a really interesting topic, because there are, take for instance, let's talk about rock. Okay. Obviously you have the classic sex, drugs, rock and roll. Okay. Without any of that, you don't have rock. Well, if you have, that, take for instance, I
said I slightly disagree with that. You don't need all of those things.
I know.
All right. I'll let you keep it going.
I'm quoting other people. I'm quoting third parties. I would probably take, for instance, all right, you have bands out there that their art is great. Okay. But say a frontman or one of the band members is having a really hard time, you know, struggling with addiction. Okay. And you know that they're messing up, you know, the band camaraderie. Okay. And as much as, you know, you want to continue on supporting the music, okay, you may also frown upon the addiction part that's also affecting the type of band. So you may have those that say, hey, you know what?
I think we need to start talking about examples. You're leaving it very open. Things that came to mind when we were thinking about this is, you know, the Marilyn Manson accusations, which obviously were I mean, depending on how you looked at that, yeah, he's a weird dude that had a weird relationship, and it came out 10 years later that he was extra abusive, and you know, those types of accusations, you know, really paint the artist in a bad light, but at the same time, they have a collection of work that is notable. Really, I mean, Marilyn Manson, how many times have I talked about going to the shows?
Right.
Like, as an artist, and what the collection of work that he's put together is awesome. Am I saddened by the accusations? Of course. But for me, to quote Bill Burr, I can separate in most cases the art from the artist, because when I listen to music, it's about the way I listen to music is more on the
craft,
the way the notes blend together. It's I'm not very tied into lyrics like a lot of people are. So
same.
I don't know, the way the music blends, where I was when I first heard the song, attaching it to memories and locations and, past experiences is how I listen to music. And so it's easier for me to just get these set of tones to take me to an era that I enjoyed or remember listening to it. And I don't care, in essence, that the artist on the outside of that, outside of the recording studio, whatever, their personal life has done something pretty terrible. And I don't know, in that way and how I listen to music, I can certainly separate it. So.
See, I think the other thing that kind of comes into play too, though, and just based off of some of the artists that I read about that I was like, wow, I had no idea this happened. I think it depends on the severity of what it is they did and also how much time has passed. Because like so one of the people that I read about that I didn't realize this was the thing was Vince Neil from Motley Crue. Apparently in the 80s, got drunk, got into a car accident with a couple of other people in the car with him. One of the people was a good friend of his, ended up dying. And he paid the family $2.5 million and only served 15 days of a 30-day sentence. And he was supposed to do something like 500 hours of community service. Now, in more recent years, he has said, like, that's ridiculous. I should have served a prison sentence, but it just goes to show that money can buy freedom, basically. But like, I had no idea. Not that I'm a big Motley Crue fan to begin with, but obviously I would say that incident didn't really have a lot of bearing on people supporting them because they still wound up being pretty successful and their music still gets played today and people still listen to their music today. And, I kind of wonder how many people even know that that's something to happen, particularly if you're our age and where that happened. I don't know that we were even born yet. If we were all pretty young. So, we didn't know about it. It wasn't like, we were fully aware adults that knew that this had happened, but, there's things like that. And then you get things like, kind of bigger news stories. I think you had Michael Jackson with the accusations of child molesting. And, I can't tell you how many weddings I've been to in recent years where people still have Michael Jackson songs playing at their weddings. I feel like a lot of people either just don't pay attention to that stuff or it's like out of sight, out of mind, which I think applies to more than just music. I feel like it takes not a lot of time for people to forget bad things that happen and move on, and history repeats itself, kind of, that sort of thing. But I think kind of like you, Ted, I can separate what's happened from the artist, but still at the same time in the back of my mind, I have a little bit of that, like, yeah, this person did some pretty bad things and I feel a little guilty for listening to their music. I mean, Gary Glitter, I think everybody's heard of Gary Glitter, whether you know it or not. Rock and Roll Part 2 is a song that gets played at a lot of sporting events. And I thought it actually got banned at sporting events after he was found guilty of possessing child porn, which was in 1999. I feel like it wasn't that long ago, but that's a whole other conversation. He was sentenced to prison, and then when he got out, I think he only did a 2-year prison sentence. He fled to Cambodia, and then he was arrested 2 more times for improper conduct with minors, and he's now serving a 16-year sentence. But I believe in recent years, I've heard Rock and Roll Part 2 being played at sporting events again. So either people just forget and move on, or they just don't care. I don't know which of the two of those things that, that falls under, but
maybe I think kind of like what to your point is maybe some people, I don't know. I think some people do care and then some people don't. But I think it also depends.
That's true.
I think it also depends on It depends on the seniority of artists too. So take, for instance, Michael Jackson. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows that his music is very upbeat. Okay. Every event that you go to, there's at least one Michael Jackson song. Okay. Does everyone know about the accusations? And
there's been documentaries that have come out since then, post his death.
Back then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. There may be some people that say, hey, you know what? It is what it is. Okay. But if the crowd, it's all about crowd pleasers too. That's the other thing too. Companies, events. I think, and we're using Michael Jackson as an example. Okay. Halloween, every Halloween. Okay. Doesn't matter what function you're going to go to. You're always going to hear Thriller.
Yes.
Doesn't, because why? It's a Halloween themed type of rock, type of pop tune. Okay. Do you think someone in the back of their mind is thinking while they're dancing to Thriller, maybe even doing the Thriller dance, oh yeah, I like this song, but I don't like how Michael Jackson was back then. Okay. Do you think it's going to stop them from listening to Thriller every single year at Halloween? More than likely not.
I do think for the stardom that came about, there's always going to be that fan base. And as to Kayla, your point, enough time has gone by, honestly, that I think people just let it go.
Yeah.
And just enjoy the music for the sake of it. And more recently, we've got the whole R. Kelly thing, and there's plenty of evidence in the R. Kelly thing, but he has a crazy fan base that is like, he's innocent. He didn't do it. And like just blind to all the the facts of the case, whatnot. And, will we wind up hearing, I mean, some of it, so again, it's because it's more recent. There's some people that are like, I'm not listening to that. Or, ooh, yeah, that makes me think of him. That's gross. Or, yeah, I don't care. This song's great. Or it brings me back to high school or whatever, like, because he's been around for a while. I think there are definitely certain artists that have a different set of, again, it's based on time, I think, because I mean, even Lost Prophets, right? Lost Prophets lead singer did some terrible stuff to a minor and was arrested, and the band, kicked him out. So in 2002 era, when we were in high school, that band was awesome. It was before the accusations came out. Like, again, now I've got a soundtrack and some key songs, Shinobi versus Dragon, like the song's great, but
tunes,
that takes me back to the high school ends. But the lead singer's done some terrible stuff. And I've been in situations where I'm like trying to think of, high school era songs, and I'm chatting with somebody and I'm like, oh, this song. And they're like, oof, that band's ruined for me. And that's literally the response. And I'm like, this 20 years ago ish. And clearly that for some people, that impact has ruined the band outright. And now they won't even listen. So now I'm like, anything that comes up for certain artists that are on that type of list, I have to be conscious of who my audience is. Who am I going to talk to that might be offended in, or look at this music differently that I'm just trying to bring up for a different reason. And, I've certainly been in a couple of situations and Lost Prophets more than once from different people. I've been like, oh, that band's ruined for me. And I was like, okay.
So I'll add to that. I won't even bring it
up.
Perfect. Exactly what you just said. It depends on the audience. And I think in today's world, we have shifted our mindset where, and again, we're an opinion show. Okay. We're not gonna get political. Okay. So this might be on the edge of it, but our society has, deteriorated in relationship status, where you can't have a opinion without having some sort of a fallout. So I think with kind of like what you were saying, Ted, is monitoring audiences, all depends on who you're talking to as well. Now, here's another example. Kind of what we were talking about as far as seniority. Michael Jackson, over 30 years of music, 40 years of music, actually, 50 years, who knows, including Jackson 5. I'm not one to watch American Idol. I have my own opinions on that. I think it's a scripted show. I'm just going to tell like it is. Probably pissed off some people listening to the show, but
they've
yes,
already
it's
clicked
scripted.
off. It's fine.
Oh, well. But prime example is, now my wife watches the show. Okay. So I get news articles that pop up, and earlier this week, I got a notification that says, hey, this American Idol individual, what's his name? Caleb Kennedy, whoever the hell he is off the show because of a 4-year-old video that was posted recently when he was 12 years old. He's 16 now. I think he's going to be turning 17, but he's off the show because he made KKK references. So goes back to what we were talking about. A lot of fans are like, you're great. I was looking on his Instagram of who this person. He fully admitted, hey, you know what? It was a stupid thing back then, and I sincerely apologize. But all his fans said, you know what? I'll still support your music. I'll still support. So it goes back to what we're saying. You know, you're going to have people that say, hey, you know what? Okay, you were stupid. You made a mistake. But the art that you still do, the music that you still do, I still like it. And then you're going to have fans that may say, oh, well, okay, I guess he's just a stupid kid. Forget about him. So again, I think it all depends on will this kid
and the severity, exactly,
and the severity. I mean, well,
that's also, I think, a bigger message in general about like people post anything on social media that they want these days, and that stuff will come back to bite you in the butt someday, regardless of whether or not you thought that was a good idea at the time. Mm-hmm. That applies to the average person too, not just somebody going on to American Idol. Like, you're looking for a job, you post something stupid on Instagram or on Twitter 15 years ago, guess what? Employers have ways of finding those things, folks, and they can bite you in the butt. So,
and guess what? Right? This American Idol kid, still more than likely, is still probably gonna get a record of some sort.
Oh, sure.
Why? Okay, one, it made headlines. Okay, so it's getting feed. Number two, obviously, he still has a strong support system. I mean, supposedly this kid I'm looking up was a top 5 contestant. Number three, everyone's addicted to these reality shows, especially these music-themed reality shows, American Idol, The Voice, and all stuff like that. So music-wise, you're still going to have those fans out there that may not look at, they may look at this as a okay, you were stupid, a hand slap, but we'll see how it ends.
Well, and how much of it is the record companies in the record company's best interest to keep the artist alive, to continue the monetary sale of music that's already in their catalog?
I think it all depends on. I think it.
So I mean,
I think if
somebody gets in trouble, and again, hypothetical, because I have no evidence to back this up whatsoever, but I would imagine to a certain degree, you know, there's certainly plenty of times all the labels are like, I'm dropping you from the label, where I don't want anything to do with you, because saving face for the label themselves. But depending on the severity of the situation, would there just be hush money from the record label to just be like, let's just make this thing go away and then like keep on making these records because we think you're really talented or whatnot? I mean, or are they just going to abandon ship and we can get somebody next week because it's just a constant revolving door of new artists that are willing and have a cleaner record, or, you know, just to save face? Well, it kind of depends.
I mean, for something kind of along those lines, Boyd Tinsley, who was the violinist for Dave Matthews Band a couple of years back, he was accused by a former bandmate from a side project that he was in of sexual misconduct. And supposedly, if you read through the interviews with the guy that accused him, he talked to other people in the band who had apparently also had similar experiences, and they were paid off to keep quiet about it. But then it's like, you don't really know as an outsider and as an average person, you don't really know what really is going on there. Because then I went looking last night to see if there'd been any update, because it's been 2 or 3 years now since this happened. And originally he posted saying he was taking a break from Dave Matthews Band because he needed to take care of his health and spend time with his family. And then a few days later, this accusation came out, and the band claimed to have had no idea that this had happened. They just knew that he was taking a break because he needed some time. And there's been nothing else on it since. So who knows whether or not anything transpired, if that person that accused him was also just like, here's some money to make this go away. Boyd Tinsley apparently is now playing with a new band, and he's been posting about that. They've been playing gigs. So I think as an outsider, we may never know whether or not there have been these bad incidents that maybe the labels have paid people off to keep quiet about it, other than like that was one example offhand that I knew of, that because other people in the band had said that supposedly they had been paid off to keep quiet. But then when this other person came out and made the accusations, then other members of the band started to come out and be like, yeah, I had similar incidents, but I was paid to keep quiet. So,
and that's the sad part, is that everything, if you have money, I hate to say it, but if you have money, money talks.
Well, that's what Vince Neil said when he was interviewed in later years about his friend being killed in that car accident. He paid off the family, and he it was a slap on the wrist. That was pretty much it for him after basically manslaughter.
100%. The other thing too is, I know that we touched on this before we went on, is here's the other thing too. And excuse me, I know this from personal fact, because seeing it when playing with bands and, touring a little bit, is that there are record labels that may say, hey, you know what, this doesn't fit our image anymore, we're going to drop you. Okay. Guess what? There's millions and millions and millions of record labels out there. Okay. Maybe some that are major, some that are minor. Okay. But once they get notification that that band is dropped, they go pick them up. Okay. And from a band standpoint, if you know that you're dropped, okay, you want to be able to jump into another contract as much as you can, obviously with reading, the fine print. Okay. But there are some record labels out there that may say, hey, you know what? We totally get it. Don't even worry about it. Okay. Those guys are idiots. Okay. Hey, listen, we've seen worse. Okay. And what you guys did is just a scratch on the surface. Don't worry. Let's tell you what, let's talk. Let's get you signed. So I think it all depends on, the severity, but also the connection with the fans, because how do you make money with record labels? By fans buying the music. So I think with this American Idol individual, okay, where I'm not going to mark that I would not be surprised if he does get signed, even though he's kicked off this reality scripted show, that when the show's over, there's probably thousands of record labels that say, hey, you know what, I'm going to sign you. Okay. And he's going to pick one of them, and we're going to hear about him. Okay, later on down the road, because he's going to write a song, or maybe a song's going to be given to him where he's going to sing it. Sometimes happens. And we'll see him back in the picture. Because he did make headlines. Was it for the negative? Yeah. But did it get publicity? Yes, it did. Did it make fans recognize who that person was? And then, hate to say it, but may have became a fan after that? Who knows? It all depends on the audience, and if the number's going up. If the number's going up and the audience is going up, according to business and business models today, they don't care. It's making the business money, whether it's ethical or non-ethical. I would not be surprised if seeing this
ethical or not, and then it turns into a different conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think you also have to maybe take into consideration what exactly the problem was, and the the times that we are currently living in. Like, given what, because I didn't know about this American Idol thing, but given what you said the issue was, which was he made comments that he supported the KKK, given today's climate, I think it would be kind of hard for a label to pick somebody up who did something like that without getting backlash from a lot of people. Just my personal opinion. I mean,
but I mean, there's known.
I'm not saying that they wouldn't do it, but I think.
But I'm just thinking of Phil Anselmo from Pantera. Like,
yeah,
he's made some really supremacist comments, if you will, over the past couple, over time. And he has come out and apologized for that, but at the same point, like, that band's been made and he's out there. And granted, I don't know that he's currently in a band, but I listen to Pantera and that's in my head because I mean, I love Pantera. Music is amazing, but Phil said some really terrible things that I don't agree with. And, I can look past it. Clearly, I listen to Pantera. However, in the back of my mind, I'm like,
you keep
Phil,
that in the back of your mind,
I don't like your views.
Right.
And then and then if you try thinking about the lyrics or looking for that type of messaging in the Pantera lyrics somehow, like just because your brain, while you listen to it enough, you can have time to sort it out. And, I don't know, makes me cringe a little bit, but I still listen. I
think just like what you were saying, I think for the three of us, we could separate the art from the artist. I'm definitely one to personally avoid all political conversations, whether it's personal or professional, because one, again, kind of goes back to what I was saying. Today's society is just a little too sensitive and it's not worth ruining relationships because of a stupid opinion. But I'm one to say, hey, you know what? Separate the politics in the music. Okay. If you have great art, okay.
Unless it's Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. They're pretty political, regardless.
Okay, so that's a perfect example. Rage, a very political type of band. You're going to have two different types of audiences. Okay, I'm sorry, listeners, fans. You're going to have those that like the lyrics, and then you're going to have those that like the music. I'm one to like the music. Okay, I'm a big fan of Tom Morello. I think just his guitar work is phenomenal. And, that's actually what got me into Rage Against the Machine, and then, going to see Prophets of Rage, later on down the road. Lyric-wise, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I think I enjoyed, and again, personally, I think I enjoyed Prophets of Rage more than Rage Against the Machine, even though it's on the same concept, the same type of line. But I don't know, I can't really describe it. But I've growing up, I've always been one to be, as a listener, I'm a music person. Music catches me first before lyrics. If it's catchy, I'm going to listen to more. I may dissect more into it. There have been plenty of songs, where I thought this was a great song, and then I read the lyrics and I go, ooh, that changes the whole color of the song. Perfect example. How many times have we been to a high school dance where someone has requested... besides me,
if you're still going to high school dances, there's another problem.
Yeah. You might be somebody we should be talking about.
No, I'm just kidding. But I remember one time in high school of our age. Don't know what's happening later on down the road. Okay, but Crash from. I must
Dave Matthews.
Dave Matthews.
Yeah.
Okay. Is one of those slow type of tunes. Hey, it's great. It's catchy. It's got that 90s vibe to it. This is awesome. This is great. Now you have two people slow dancing to it. Hell, I've even seen Crash play at weddings. Crash is about like hooking up with a chick. Okay. It literally is like hack up your skirt a little more and show your world to me. I mean, come on, man. You think there was any type of a filter, back in high school days where people, and I mean, listen, you're like,
how many people really noticed that lyric though? It was like, how many people really heard that lyric though and thought about that in high school? Because I know I didn't. I've been a long time, and maybe we're about to lose some listeners because I'm admitting this, because I know you either love them or hate them. But I've been a long time Dave Matthews Band fan, and
I'm a Dave fan.
Okay,
it's
all right.
Dave.
All right, I'm with like-minded people here, but I know there are people that don't like him at all. It's like, nope. There seems to be no middle ground of anybody I've talked to. They either hate him or they love him.
They don't like him. Yeah, there's a love-hate relationship.
So I've been listening to Dave Matthews for a long time. And again, another one of those bands I got into because my dad would listen to them. And that song, while not one of my favorite Dave Matthews songs, I liked listening to it. And it wasn't until I think well after high school that I listened to it and I caught that lyric and I was like, oh.
Let me make one error correction. I know I had subconsciously, someone of the listener has just said, Matt, what the hell are you talking about? That's not about hooking up with a chick. The song Crash Into Me is about dominatrix. Opening lyrics. You've got your ball, you've got your chain, tied to me tight, tie me up again. Who's got the claws in you, my friend? Into your heart, I'll beat again.
I mean, I didn't know Dave was into so much kinky stuff.
Nope. So
I think we may have just entered a different show topic entirely here.
Again, for someone that doesn't pay attention to lyrics, woo, right over the head.
I don't either, though.
I think kind of like what's my point is, again, you're going to have those two different types of audiences, is that, with Rage, very political. Right. I don't like to talk about politics. Okay. I'd rather talk about something else, or maybe taking a dump in the toilet type of thing, rather than talk about, what's going on in society. Okay. But love Rage Against the Machine stuff. Why? I'm caught onto the music. Love Dave Matthews Band because I'm caught onto the music. Read those lyrics and I went, wow, we have a whole nother color of Crash Into Me, because it's.
Well, okay, staying on Dave Matthews Band for one more second, because there was something else that happened with those guys that I've seen a lot of comments
from people. They have like 30
like,
members, so there's easy to.
Well, this was the band as a whole. Apparently, they were on a tour and somehow accidentally going over a bridge opened up the wastewater tank on their tour bus and dumped wastewater into, like, I don't know all the details. I just remember hearing about this a while back.
Over a bridge that seems suspiciously planned.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't read into too many stories about it. I just remember that it happened. And there are still people that when they see posts about Dave Matthews Band, they will comment and be like, oh, that's from the guys that dumped the septic tank in their bus over a bridge while on tour. And it's like, going back to, there are people that I don't think can separate that from Dave Matthews music. But then again, maybe those are people that didn't like them to begin with, because there are either you love them or you hate them. And if you hate them, everything. That's going to be one more thing that they're like, well, this is yet another reason why I don't like this band. So, I think the Rage Against the Machine thing, I think there's a third category too of people who won't listen to them because they know that they're a political band and they don't agree with their political views. Forget about like the music itself. The guys in that band are pretty outspoken about their political views on things. And I think there are people out there that won't listen to them, period, because they don't agree with their views on a personal level without even listening to the music and dissecting what that music is saying about their beliefs. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm not a person who spends a lot of time listening to the lyrics of a song. I listen to, do I like the guitar parts? Do I like the way the song fits together as a whole? And then at some point I'll listen to the lyrics and either be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Or there will be something in there that I'm like, oh, Okay. I didn't catch that when I've listened to this the first 200 times because I'm listening to the lyrics, but I'm not paying that close of attention to them, I guess.
I mean, just for another obvious note about just being oriented right into music, metal is largely incoherent screaming. There's words. Don't get me wrong. There's lyrics, and you can sort of piece them out depending if you have an ear for it. But that's just another example of the lyrics. I can read them later, but in the moment, and you're hearing a metal song for the first time, and there's a lot of yelling, growling, whatever. It's all instrumental with what the voice does for notes, and then how it all mixed together. So, I mean, go ahead.
I was gonna say, by the way, my mom, because she doesn't like metal music, because that's what she thinks. She hears a song, she goes, "This is just screaming. I could do this and make us millions." And every time she says it, I'm like, "So when are you gonna start making the millions? Because you keep talking about how easy this is." So yeah, you're absolutely right. There is a lot of screaming in heavy metal, although I feel like,
or for what I listen to a majority of the time, because there's certainly plenty of other bands, Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, where you can have that high pitch, cliche 80s metal band.
Right. Right. For sure.
Or Slayer.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, lyrics are something I look at later.
So we started this on, can you separate the art from the artist? And now we've dived into this completely other side tangent.
Analyzing music.
I know. But
I mean, I think the general consensus is, at least for the three of us, that we can separate the art from the artist.
Correct.
But maybe in the back of your mind still have that I know that this guy said something or did something that probably wasn't a real good thing, but this song's really good and I like it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the hard part. You can't not, once it's already out, and
right.
I don't know if a song speaks to you and you're, okay with that. I think I don't see why you can't separate the art from the artist. And it's pretty interesting because I have had, like I mentioned, the two examples of two different people that weren't able to separate art from the artist for, my Lost Prophets example. Right. Which, understandable. I get it. So I'm kind of interested in that the three of us are on the same page and being able to do that.
Right. Well, here's the thing, right? And it's a good question for those that, Ted, for those that say, "Ooh, Lost Prophets," really? Do you know about the whole?
But you can't fault him. The dude did a horrendous thing.
Not only that, but the key word, them. Okay, so Lost Prophets, it's not just one person. So one person, may have fucked up. Kaylee, you have to censor that. But what about the other three members? Okay, it's not like they did the exact same thing. So, but they also partaked in creating Shinobi versus Ninja Dragon. So how could those that say, "Ooh, I don't support Lost Prophets because of one person," really be able to state that, that their music's all crap now because of one person? And I think that's another genre of audiences, which I'm sure, we'll talk about, I'm sure, audiences in another future episode, because I could see this being another type of topic. But, you're going to have audiences that may like the whole band in general, kind of like with Dave Matthews. You either like them or you don't like them because of one event, or they may continue to like them, but maybe not just like that individual.
I mean, the same concept, television equivalent, The Cosby Show.
Exactly. Yeah.
All the cast, all the major name and all of those things, and it's culturally relevant for an era of television, and then things come out. I mean, we're going right to cancel culture, really, but now all the other actors, or Roseanne, or like there's so much of that where there's a number of people that collectively create a piece of art, and then one person messes up and it ruins it for more than just them. And so that does make it hard because you want to support. It wasn't all of them that made the mistake. It was one person.
Exactly.
So you really have to, and I suppose we would need someone on here to talk about the opposite end of the opinion, because we can separate. If someone couldn't separate, I'd be curious to know,
why?
Obviously, why is it just ruined enough that, obviously you can just cut it all out, and I'm sure that it's more just obvious that, well, it's just the one person, but I don't want to even think about it, or, it's easier removing the whole band. So, but it's listeners out there, let us know what you think, because we've literally I think we've all kind of collectively come together with a uniform opinion on this. But let us know what you think. Reach out to us at distortedopinionshow@gmail.com or our Anchor page, anchor.fm/distortedopinions. Leave a voicemail, leave a comment, let us know what you think, because certainly there's no wrong answer for this. It's certainly just, how does this impact your decision in listening to certain music?
Right.
And be curious to hear what you think, and do you agree with what we were talking about and being able to separate, or is there just something that just you can't, and you cross the whole band off because of that? So curious to hear your thoughts.
And we're open to it. Again, this is a distorted opinion show where everything's about music and not the politics.
As close, we got pretty close to politics.
Yeah,
on
we're
this
dancing a fine line right now.
So listen, I have my Zoom video right here, and maybe we're just this close to going into the political zone, but then we tried it back. What we did is we talked about, if you think about it, this episode is, we still stayed on the road to separating art and the artist. We were just giving prime examples, and we were talking about examples of what we're witnessing from the outside.
Well,
and
that's
then we're
our opinion. Yeah,
exactly. And then we're giving our opinions as far as like, hey, you know what? We all three of us, we are music driven first before lyrics, and that's how we become fans and whatnot. But at the same time, we're not going to fault a band, saying band, because of one person's mistake. That's completely separating the whole aspect of their errors. But a little side note, Ted, you were mentioned Roseanne, and from the entertainment standpoint, when Roseanne came back and then she made those stupid comments, okay, Roseanne got canceled, and that affected the whole rest of the cast. Well, the company decided to say, hey, you know what? Time out. Like, fans were really starting to get back. How can we bring those fans back but taking that Roseanne part out? And guess what? They have the Connors now. Mm-hmm. And the Connors, everyone's on there, the same exact, it's same cast, just without Roseanne. Mm-hmm. Could they call the show Roseanne anymore? Because makes sense. Okay, but how do you continue the show by making it kind of almost kind of like a side show, but it's kind of the same show? Yeah, you make the Connors, and guess what? The Connors now, and correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, I believe they may have just ended season 3. I don't know. I don't watch the show, so. But that's a prime example of, hey, you know what? Just because one person messed up, why does John Goodman, why does the rest of the cast have to suffer? Like, they just got back and the audience is happy with it. So that's what they decided to do. Hey, you know what? Yeah. She's obviously, her bed's made, but the rest of the cast had 3 other seasons. They just ended the 3rd season, having another 4th season coming about. So example, I think it all depends on the company and do they think they can continue this? Do they not think they continue this? Do you think the bed is made? The bed's not made, but that's just that little side note of, because you mentioned Ted, Roseanne.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, they're trying to, I don't know, there are paths of redemption at the same time. Like, I don't know. That's a whole nother, that could get really into a deeper conversation.
I got comments, but that turns into a different show. So
yeah. I'll leave it at that.
All right.
What do you guys think about Song of the Week?
I think we're good to go into it.
Go for it.
All right. Who wants to go first?
I'll jump in. Mine's real quick.
All right. There you go.
All right. So we were talking about in the show how the three of us were music driven first before lyrics. And I thought this would be a great example to show that there are songs out there that don't have lyrics. There are artists out there that don't have lyrics. They don't have words. They just have music. And my song of the week is actually good. I actually heard this earlier this week and I was like, boom, I'm going to use that as a song of the week. But it's going to be Steve Vai, the song For the Love of God.
Oh, great tune. Yes,
phenomenal tune off of the May 1990 album, Passion and Warfare. Guys, I can't even explain this.
I had dreams when I was in high school that I was playing the guitar part and having the amount of sustain to hold those notes for as long as he does in that song. Like, oh man, that's such a good tune. Like, I wanted to be like the center stage, rock star, whatnot, and play that song and like,
such a phenomenal song. Yeah. I mean, I can't even describe it because it's so good. And I'm happy that this is going to be on our song list, that listeners, if you haven't got a chance to, check out our Distorted Opinions playlist. Check out all the songs that we recommend, including this one. It's phenomenal. Again, it's one of those songs that it doesn't even need lyrics, but it's just as good or even more to understand the guitar tones behind it. Very melodic. It's got like 95% hard rock, and then it's got like a 5% of like little pop elements in there or whatnot. But Steve Vai is one of those phenomenal guitarists that he's like wine. He just keeps getting better and better and better with. I haven't listened to one album that is bad, but this one particularly, I remember listening to it back then. I listened to it recently this week, and then I said, yep, I have to go make this my song of the week. So yes, the song For the Love of God off of Passion and Warfare off the May 1990 album. It's number 7. Check it out.
And as a side note, Steve Vai is playing guitar right now, or he has been, with one hand.
Yeah, I've seen that.
He had, I don't know if he broke his arm or if he had surgery or what the deal is, but he is playing with one hand, and you would not know that he is playing with one hand.
One hand.
Absolutely insane.
The strongest hammer on fingers to get all the notes, and there's no picking. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just, it's outrageous.
Yeah, go watch his Instagram. It's
do it up.
Wow. All right. Well, on that note, if you want to go next.
Sure.
All right. So as Matt mentioned, just a reminder, we have a Spotify Song of the Week playlist. We put the link to that in the description of every show. And we're also doing a new thing where if you're watching the video version, we put a scan code on the screen. So all you have to do is open up Spotify on your phone or your mobile device, and there's a little camera indicator in the search bar. Open that up and point your phone at your screen, and it will take you right to our playlist. So be sure to check that out. We put all the songs for our pick of the week into that playlist. You can listen to our previous picks. You can listen to our picks from today. With that, I'm going to stick with the theme of the show here. And I'm going to go with Tripping Billies by Dave Matthews Band off the 1996 album Crash. We talked a bit about Boyd Tinsley and the accusations, and it's one of those things where I've got it in the back of my mind now when I hear any of their songs, but at the same time, I really love the music, and I can't separate that. And you can't take away the fact that Boyd Tinsley is an incredibly talented musician and violinist, and was one of the reasons many years ago that I was like, you know what, I think I'd like to potentially try picking up violin. And stupid me, I thought, well, I play guitar. This shouldn't be too hard. It should be kind of like playing guitar. No, it is not like playing guitar at all.
I have a cello, and it's similar but very different.
Yes. I mean, you got a bow, and the bow is a whole different ball game than playing with a pick or playing with your fingers. Playing the notes is very different. It's all around different. And needless to say, I did not get very far with it because I was like, well, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. But, this song in particular, this has been one of my favorites by Dave Matthews Band. Under the Table and Dreaming overall is my favorite Dave Matthews album, but this one, Crash, had a lot of really great tracks, and this one's at the top of my list from that album. I think I'd probably say it's a good summertime playlist track. It's very peppy. It's fun to play on the guitar, but there is a violin solo in there, and it's just a fantastic solo. So I think most people have probably heard this song at one point or another, but if you haven't, check it out. Tripping Billies by the Dave Matthews Band off of Crash. And that is my pick of the week.
Nice.
So over to Ted.
So I know without picking any of the bands, for once, not picking any of the bands that I've even mentioned today, just because, some people won't be into it, for whatever reason. I opted for an Aerosmith tune.
Whoa!
Steven Tyler had some accusations
all right,
too.
So
it's all right. It's all right.
No one's safe.
Nobody seems to be that aware or care that much these days. So it's all good.
I'm going back
safe.
to 1993 when the Get a Grip album was released, and the song "Living on the Edge."
Living on the Edge.
Yeah, just
good tune.
It's a classic.
It's a classic tune. I felt like the song title kind of fit with what we were discussing today. So that's how I tied it all together. But definitely, I don't know, classic Aerosmith song. It really, I don't know. They have so many good songs. It was, if you really have to break it down, Living on the Edge, though, really, maybe top 15, definitely. But they have so many songs. Sure. So, and that's what happens when you've been touring for.
I think that song's
45
perfect for
years.
every day so far.
What's
Something's
that?
wrong with the world today.
Yeah.
The light bulb in.
Yeah. Well, you don't worry, Kelly. You don't need to dub it into this. No. Matt's just singing along. So
yeah, that saves me some time.
And then when you listen, it'll hear.
Yeah, it's just muted.
You've been filtered.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes, that's gonna be my song of the week.
Good tune.
Awesome.
That's a good road tune too. Just cruising on the road, blare it up.
Yeah. So this road trip playlist, if anyone decides to go on a road trip, listen to our playlist. There's a great one for you.
Yeah, road trip or a flight, a long flight somewhere. Take it a
flight
go
with a beer flight.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. Don't drink and drive.
No, do not.
No.
Or
on
drink
that
and fly.
note, I think we probably wrapped up the show here. So just again, if you want to share your thoughts on today's topic or suggest a topic for a future episode, reach out to us. Email distortedopinionshow@gmail.com. Leave us a voicemail at anchor.fm/distortedopinions. Comment on any of our social media posts or send us a message there. We're responsive, and we would love to get your take on it, because you've only heard 3 opinions here and we kind of align, but we're always open to hearing varying opinions. So
as long as you're nice.
Yeah.
The internet's a nice place. It's fine.
Nice place.
Yeah, I'm not worried. Should I be?
No, not at all.
No.
So with that, thank you everybody who buckled in and came along for the ride with us during today's show, and we look forward to bringing you a new show next week. We will see you then.
We will see
later, guys.
Bye.
Yeah. Love it on the